Hi, this is Judy Warner with the OnTrack podcast. If you're new to OnTrack, thanks for stopping by, and if you're returning, we appreciate you coming back. If you listen to OnTrack regularly, please follow us on your favorite RSS feed or on iTunes, and please follow me on LinkedIn and on Twitter. I'm at Altium Judy, and if you would also please follow Altium on our social media platforms on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn. So let's get started. Today is just going to be hard because this is my friend Robbin Thompson, who's with me right now. And Robbin and I met at Del Mar
Show.
At the Del Mar Electronics Show. So it was so funny. I don't even remember how we met, but we met and it was like instant sisterhood.
Kind of just walked into each other, kind of like looking at the same booth, and you're looking at me, and I'm going, I don't know if I buy into that. And then we kind of just started walking through the show and looking at other booths, and
I think I was telling you about Geekapalooza.
You were talking about Geekapalooza,
and you're like, I'm in. Here's the money. Let's go. Yes, and
I'm talking about, well, let's get the company, let's get them marketed, let's showcase, let's do that.
So, anyways, we just met, and it was like instant friendship and sisterhood in electronics. Which is just scary. Like
it is scary. Yeah.
So anyways, Robbin and I have been friends for a while now, and Robbin has been in the EMS industry for a very long time, helping other companies be professional. And not terribly long ago, she launched her own EMS company here in San Diego called Select PCB. So, Robbin, I thought we'd start today by asking you a loaded question, which is, what are the three most common design for manufacturing or design for assembly issues that you see that come up regularly that designers, if they knew it, would make their lives easier and simpler and certainly make your life easier?
Yeah, that's a great question. There's so many variables that play into the design side of it. It could be just a matter of a connector that's a hard press fit that's not being, it takes a while for it to be installed on the board, or it takes a while for it to be installed on the, on the box module. But
how would a designer who's speccing that connector know if it took extra labor for you to put it on that board?
And that's one of the big problems that we see daily is when we go to provide a first article or go to build the first set of box builds, and we're looking at the products and we're looking at it, and my first instinct is, did anybody ever do a final build on this? Did they do a design review for production levels? And we're seeing that more and more, that no, they don't. They see it at a prototype stage, but not so much for production levels.
Yeah.
And that is actually increasing the overall bottom line cost of the product. 70 to 75% of your failures happens during the volume production because of design levels and the designers. We're not including the manufacturers in the final design.
Well, and that's the thing that I think I was going to ask you this question later. That was like, I think the temptation to think this is a prototype, so we don't have to get it all dialed in now. But if that prototype works, the OEM's going to go, great, it works, let's go, let's put it in production.
Well, that's true and not true.
Okay.
Even through the prototype stages, for cost-wise, do you want to pay more on the front end or a lot more on the back end?
Right.
So if you, include your manufacturer who you choose, or include a person that has the, someone that has the experience on a production floor to know what to look for. Maybe they could help you guide the designer through that phase of, this not put a connector underneath a daughter board. This not put a connector to where you're going to have to remove it and it's going to increase it by 30 seconds to a minute for production. So,
right.
And those things matter. And it kind of like puts a stumbling block in the assembly line.
Well, I think that's something I always appreciated about you is that your customers seem to follow you. Now that you are not working for somebody else, they seem to have followed you because you seem to take that extra time.
We do, and that's one thing about me is, I want to make sure that their product goes to market is the best product they could put out there. I'll take my time. I'll dissect the whole box build. I'll take a look at the board. What can we do to better the fabrication on it? Can we run it through the production line? Can we run it through SMT a certain way? Or even the components. What can we do to have a better sourcing capability for the consumer? And I'll make recommendations and make changes because at the end of the day, it's the bottom line.
Right.
And we want to be able to not spend excess amount of time on the build if it's not necessary and move on.
Right. So it's important to spend time on the prototype as well as the production.
Absolutely.
Right.
Yes.
Saves money on both ends and gets it through production, reliably.
If you could reduce the cost, 60% of labor time just by increasing your capabilities through the prototyping stages or your design changes, then, get all the ECOs out during that time, that would just really increase the bottom line. And that would help the consumer understand what we're seeing for product, for production levels.
Do you think that's how you've kind of kept your customers over the years, is by being really kind of fastidious on the front end?
Oh, definitely. I'm constantly contacting them, and they know as soon as I call them or as soon as I send an email, they know that I've found something that may benefit them.
Right.
And I'm constantly saying, come on in, let's take a look. We'll go on the bench, whether it be through the programming or just the final box build itself, or do we require, is this something that's going to need potting, or is it something going to need some conformal coating? And those are all recommendations that we'll give to the consumer or the customer, and take it from there.
So along those lines, I remember coming into your shop one day, and you were like making a vape pen. It was like something I didn't expect to see there. What are some of the more interesting products that you've made?
We're working right now. It's really cool. I'm working with a customer called Suckerfish M2M. They're a really great customer. They're out of the UK, and they're building a GPS system that's be used worldwide. And it's really kind of cool to see it from conception to where they're at right now with it. And it's launched. It's out there on the market. It's a beautiful product.
So GPS for what?
It could be a military application, mostly military applications.
Is it handheld?
Handheld fixtures. I could take it in my car. It could be most any type of fixture that travels in the middle of the Indian Ocean. You could put it there on a boat, and you'll be able to see where that boat's going.
That's cool.
So it was pretty cool.
That's fun.
I build products for nuclear power plants, which is kind of cool, knowing that, something happens, it's my fault. So I should say that, but...
So reliability is a little important.
It is, and so you have to be pretty precise. And, we build anything from, electronic cat dispensing boxes all the way up to, pretty extensive military applications.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Well, I know that one thing that attracted me to this industry, there's not that many of us women in this industry, which is so fun when we meet a sort of a gal pal in the industry. But I know what attracted me to this industry was that it was that diverse. Like, it was always learning, was always seeing something new, and my thirst sort of for my curiosity really drove me to want to learn more, see more, or whatever. What do you think drove you originally into this industry?
Somewhere in the same lines of you, more of the thirst for new technology, just not being, pretty much satisfied with the same complacency.
Yeah.
And I wanted to constantly learn, even from a young child. I wanted to learn how to build things. I would be the one in the garage in my dad's toolbox, and knocking things together and trying to figure out why does this radio work. So I always wanted to strive to see what else out there on the market, or where can I grow within this market, which is, it is difficult to be a lasting person in this industry. It's constantly changing.
Yeah, it is.
It is.
It's true. You got to keep up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so true.
Yeah.
So, you've been in the sort of EMS side of this industry for a long time. Why in the heck did you start your own shop? It just seems like an exercise in self-abuse. No, I'm just teasing, of course. Like I think it's a very bold, courageous move.
It was just too much alcohol one day. I said, let me just start something new. I really felt that over the years being in this industry, and I got to see how companies were working, and I really felt that there was a need that was missing. There was a need of personalization that was missing. And I felt that, with the customers that I have, a really good base set of customers, and they all primarily said the same thing of customer service, or, it's just the lacking up. Every company has the same kind of foundation. We provide good SMT services, good customer service, good, quality control. But I wanted to take it a step further. I wanted to be able to offer them more of not just a better customer service program, but more of a customization to their needs. So what I decided to do is build a factory or build a facility that customizes my facility to your build. From the time you come in, from the time that we start discussing what your needs are, all the way to the very end packaging, it's going to be customized to what you want. And we'll have our engineers involved. We will take a look at your files, take a look at your build, see if there's any recommendations to make things go smoother through the production process. Try to give you as much as our attention as possible and make you feel that you can count on us. But at the same time, come in. If you have a test engineer you want to come in and have a bench, we'll open it up to you. We want you to feel that you could depend on us, where, you're not just a number.
Right.
And a lot of companies that, in the past have made customers feel that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, it's an industry that has fine margins and high risk.
It is. Definitely.
Because components are expensive, and so that's why I'm teasing you about being a glutton for punishment, because I've been in that industry, and it's very challenging, and there's so many moving pieces. So,
right, and what's really helpful for me is having a select few customers that I really have grown to depend on over the years, as far as they follow me where I go, and so that makes me even feel more of a family environment with them. So I want to just make sure that I can do as much as I can to help them.
Right.
And that's now transferring to all my customers.
That's nice. So refreshing, right?
It's
not just all about the almighty dollar. It's actually, caring and
right,
and taking the extra time to.
When you come in through the doors, it's more or less of, okay, I'm here to help you. You've got my full attention.
That's nice.
You're not just here. Let me get someone else to help you.
And so you're saying you will move things around your shop?
Oh, absolutely. We do it all the time. Yeah.
That's a really fresh model. Most people do not want to mess up the configuration of their.
Well, there's certain machines that we won't.
Of course, you're not going to move your SMT line or whatever. Right. Oh, that reminds me. So, I heard once, and you can tell me if it's true or not. I believe it is, that up to 65% of failures for SMT is solder paste screening. Mm-hmm. Is that true? Like,
65 is probably a little low, but yeah.
Really?
Really.
What is talk to me about that? Like, is it about the height of the solder, the volume of the solder, the way the solder is laying on the pad, all of the above?
It's all of the above. And it comes down to, You know, what type of solder paste are you looking at? Are you looking at no clean, water soluble? First of all, you have to start, and that's how you work with the customer. Get that side of it down first. What type of board are you trying to make? What type of heat is this board going to generate?
What kind of environment
exactly
it's going to be in?
Is it going to be around water? Is it going to be around underground? You know, something that will make sure that you need to take into account. Then you've got your stencil. You know, what size of your stencil are you looking at? You know, what are your parameters for the pad sizes? You know, what components fit on them? So, all those things are items that we, at our company and with our designers, we look at prior to even starting the build.
That's crazy to me. Like you walk into an EMS shop and you see SMT lines shooting out these parts so fast, and you see, people programming FPGAs, you see test equipment, you see ovens, potters, all this stuff, and the thing comes down to applying solder paste. That just that blew my mind.
And if you don't apply it just correctly, if you're missing half a pad, that's going to cause problems with functionality. And now you're looking at test programming where you're looking at you're programming some boards and you can't figure out why it's not testing or why it's not running through. And so now you're having to take your time to try to decipher what's going on with these boards. So, the designers, I give them a lot of credit. They have a lot to deal with, a lot to work with.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. So, we try to do our best to work with them to try to make their job easier.
Right.
Yeah.
So, loaded question. If you could, I know. So, I just like to make you nervous by saying, loaded question, here it comes. No.
Where's my other glass of wine now? Okay.
You're funny. So, if you could tell designers one thing that they didn't know, or one thing you would like designers to learn, or one thing you would like them to know that you don't think they know, what would it be?
Oh, gosh, I can get in so much trouble with that question.
Okay, well, don't get in trouble on our podcast.
No.
I don't want to be fired.
I don't want you to either. It's the key to, working with designers. It's not just working with designers. You're working with the designer personnel. You're working with the manufacturers. You're working with the customer. Everybody's a team. And so that's one part of the team, probably most important, but it's part of the team. And what you want to do is make sure that everybody is included in communications, changes, file changes, or even making sure that you give the manufacturer of your choice all the files.
You're singing the Altium song right now.
Right. It is so key because the delays that it causes by not having them and the advantages of being thoroughly prepared prior to the build.
Right.
It's a cost reduction right there in itself.
Yeah.
So, and that I think in itself would be a good starting point.
Yeah, documentation to me is a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
All the way up
all
and
the
down.
way through.
Yeah,
Yep.
and it's something I feel we lack a little too often.
Too often, and then what you're basically doing is you're giving the manufacturer, and I've seen this all too many times, their opportunity to put their spin on it, or they take
They take free license to go,
maybe it goes
this is
way.
Like that, yeah.
Right, or let's put this connector this way, and I'm pretty sure that's how it goes.
Yeah, no assumptions. It's
exactly
a recipe for disaster.
And then you go to find out from afterwards, well, why didn't you contact us? Well, why didn't you give us files? And so it's more or less like it's not your team against our team. It's a combined effort to make this work.
Yeah, totally. And instead of finger pointing and everybody.
If you work with a manufacturer that starts doing that, I would just kind of be leery.
Yeah. Step away, back away.
Back away.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned earlier that you used to dig around in the garage in your dad's toolbox and such. And I used to like Lincoln Logs, and I kind of like that kind of making things or deconstructing things. So I always try to ask sort of at the end of my podcast what I call designers after hours or electronics professionals after hours. So I'm curious to know what things that you like to do after hours, what kind of hobbies or interests you have, or more things about what you did as a kid that sort of was indicating that you might end up in this field.
Well, my older brother, I'm the third of 4 children, and my older brother would get model airplanes all the time.
Oh, yeah.
And, he would build them up, but they were just never robust enough for me. So,
That's hilarious.
It is. And so I would just go in the garage and, steal a few of his model airplanes, take it outside and put like little, fireworks, M20 caps in the back of them, light them up, fire them off, and shoot them up in the air and blow them up. I used to get in so much trouble, and my brother would be just heartbroken because he spent hours on these things.
And you're blaming his lack of robustness, not on that you're putting explosives on this model airplane.
Yeah.
You're like, if they were reliable, they wouldn't have blown up.
Exactly. If they would have worked right, it would have been okay. So, but that was what I, used to do in my younger days. But now I more or less relax a little bit. I've got a golden retriever. I take the dog park down at Delmar Beach. Love going there. Love spending time, with my animals and with my grandchildren. So a little bit not so much into explosions anymore.
Yeah, that's good. It's good. I know it. Good. You were scaring me a little bit there.
Yeah.
I was like,
more or less teaching my grandson now to play baseball. And
that's fun.
Yeah, trying to do the grandma thing.
Yeah, that's fun. Well, again, thanks so much. You're a
welcome.
dear friend, and I always learn from you every time. And you are so brave.
This has been wonderful. Thank you.
And I know we will have our next adventure soon at some trade show or our next adventure in crime.
Well, thank you for having me. This has been wonderful.
Thanks for coming. Robbin, 1 second before we go, can you please let folks know what your website is and how they can find out more about you?
Well, you can find out about us by going to www.selectpcb.com and take a look at what we do and reach out to us, and I'll be in touch. As we're, like I said, we're all
a big family.
We're all a big family, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, thanks everyone for stopping by for another OnTrack podcast. We look forward to seeing you next time. Until then, always stay on track.